The time is serious, and we need to talk. In 2011, this ass of Pippa Middleton stole the spotlight from a bride at her own wedding, and it was deemed extraordinary. Well, that was in 2011. But let's move forward a bit. A lot has changed. I can bet you know this woman, but did you know of any beautiful woman with this kind of buttocks at that time? No discrimination, but this body type had no competition. Well, no competition in terms of size, if you know what I mean. So how did the buttocks go from being as natural and small as possible to an increasingly sought-after surgical enhancement? Let's take a leap into the past. Indeed, this story isn't recent. The augmentation of buttocks actually dates back to the 1960s. This man, Ivo Pitanguy, his name might not mean much to you, but he is the foundation of all this. The creator of the Brazilian butt lift, or BBL. Well, he is widely recognized as the creator, although his technique is based on years of innovations and research. To provide some context, Mr. Ivo Pitanguy was born on June 5, 1926, in Belo Horizonte, Brazil, where he completed his primary and secondary education and part of his university education before finishing it in France, where he worked with pioneers in the field, before returning to his country to open his Plastic Surgery Institute in Rio de Janeiro in 1963, which became an internationally renowned center for plastic surgery training in his country. Ivo was also known for his work and for his discretion when operating on wealthy, famous, and even royal people from around the world. In 1964, I don't know what drove him, but Pitanguy published an article on the first buttock lift surgeries, which involved removing excess skin and tissue to correct sagging, a method that tightened and toned but did not manage to increase volume or projection. He set the war machine in motion. A few years later, in 1969, Bartels et al. Documented the first buttock augmentation procedure using a silicone breast implant to correct atrophy of a patient's left buttock. Koch and Ricketson then documented the first purely aesthetic buttock augmentation in 1973. This led to the commercial development of a specific buttock implant. Buttock implants continued to improve as style and size options increased with new surgeries and innovative manufacturing over the following decade. The method became more popular in the 1990s after New York plastic surgeon Sidney Coleman published a series of articles describing standardized practices for this complex procedure. I should mention, before, curvaceous figures were very common naturally among African women and were considered an insult to the other part of the world. Anyway, back to our topic. This practice, until 1990, was really starting to gain traction but was still unknown to the majority of the population. Thin was in fashion and big butts were not. Having a large ass was an insult. Today, it has become a goal to achieve. And this goal owes its fame to a lady you know, and whom you've been waiting for me to name, Kim Kardashian. She is the #1 ambassador for the BBL. The rapid growth of the BBL is thanks to her. To explain more clearly, Kim is known for two things: the BBL in that video, but that's a whole other story. With her partners, Nicki Minaj, Jennifer Lopez, Iggy Azalea, and others. Well, they all deny it, but you don't need to be a sorcerer to know the truth. After 2010, buttock augmentation saw explosive growth in popularity, probably due to celebrities flaunting their large posteriors. The more the years went on, the more they gained visibility, and their silhouettes became their primary commercial asset, and they began to highlight them way too much. With the advent of social media, it got even worse. We went from this to this. Today, unfortunately, it has become the mentality of many girls. We need to have a big butt to be beautiful, an hourglass figure. There's really no harm when it's natural, but today we've reached a level of physical complexity among women, largely due to Kim. One thing we don't talk about enough is the danger. According to the BBC, BBLs carry the highest risk of all cosmetic surgeries, with more than one death occurring for every 4,000 procedures. Imagine dying because you wanted to look like a wasp. While big butts are glorified in Hollywood and widely imitated by normal people, we can only hope for safer techniques and stricter regulations. Everyone has the right to enjoy their body as they see fit, so we look forward to future innovations that will mean that whatever life choices people make, they don't risk their lives to conform to new, less healthy beauty ideals.